Welcome, profound seekers of wisdom, to Buddha's story. I'm your host, and for decades, I've delved deep into the intricate tapestry of Buddhist teachings, seeking to unravel the mysteries of existence and illuminate the path to liberation. The Master's Blueprint, unveiling the noble Eightfold Path to unshakable peace. Have you ever yearned for a clear, undeniable path to profound inner peace and ultimate freedom from suffering? We often hear general advice like, be a good person, or live in harmony. But what if the greatest spiritual journey isn't about vague aspirations, but a detailed, step-by-step blueprint for transforming your entire life? What if the Buddha, the awakened one, didn't leave us with abstract concepts, but with a precise, actionable guide to unlock lasting happiness? Today, we journey into the very heart of Buddhist practice, the Noble Eightfold Path. This isn't just a list of virtues, it's the meticulous, practical teaching that, when put into practice, guides us all the way to nirvana, the cessation of suffering and ultimate liberation. The Buddha didn't leave behind vague instructions, he provided a detailed, step-by-step guide on how exactly to perfect your life and transform your mind. You might think there's nothing more exciting than learning this guide, this ancient secret to self-mastery. Sadly, most study resources on the path are either superficial or, dare I say, boring. They often start with a dry image, list the 8 components, perhaps tell you it's divided into 3 sections: ethics, mental practice, and wisdom. Then they go on to tell you what you shouldn't do and what you should do, making it sound like a rigid set of commandments. This can be off-putting and uninspiring, which makes it misleading too, missing the very spirit of the Buddha's compassionate teachings. The Buddha's original discourses had the opposite effect. Often drawing in thousands of listeners, many became his lifelong disciples after hearing just a single talk. Their entire worldviews shaken to the core. If learning about the path does not shake your entire worldview, if it does not ignite a profound shift within you, then perhaps you're not learning it right. So, today, let me try something different. I want to let the Buddha himself present the Eightfold Path to you, as he did to an earnest seeker centuries ago. I'll do this by telling you a story, not one I made up, but a Buddhist sutta, discourse, dating back some 22 centuries. A direct transmission of ancient wisdom, the Shorter Elephant Footprint Simile Sutta. I know, not the catchiest title, but it's one of the most fascinating texts I've ever read, crucial for cataloging and memorizing the vast Pali Canon when the tradition was still oral. Here, we find the Buddha himself present the Noble Eightfold Path to an outsider, a Brahmin who comes confused, uncertain whether the Buddha is a true teacher or just another fake guru. By the end of the sutta, he is no longer confused, his doubts utterly dissolved. In any case, I'll interrupt the story frequently, to give you some commentary and context to what the Buddha is saying, connecting his timeless wisdom to our modern lives. I hope this will be profoundly useful. Now, let's hear about this ultimate path of the Buddha, from the Buddha. I present to you the Shorter Elephant Footprint Simile Sutta. Chapter 1. The Initial Inquiry, a Skeptic's Glimpse of the Truth. Our story begins one day, with the Brahmin Janasana traveling in his chariot, embodying the intellectual and priestly elite of ancient India. Brahmins, belonging to the priestly caste, were well versed in the complex philosophies and religions of the time, often engaging in intricate debates. Janasana himself was a man of immense learning, confident in his intellectual acumen. It happened that he came across a friend of his, the wanderer Pilatika, who seemed unusually bright and serene, radiating a newfound calm. After the two men exchanged polite greetings, as was customary, Pilatika, unable to contain his enthusiasm, excitedly told Janasana that he had just been in the profound presence of the teacher Gautama. Gautama, Pilatika clarified, is he whom people now call the Awakened One, the Buddha. He has been causing quite the excitement lately with his talks, drawing immense crowds and transforming lives. Janasana, being of the intellectual and priestly caste, had learned not to get too easily excited or swayed by new gurus. In those days, new spiritual teachers kept popping up all the time, each, of course, claiming to possess ultimate knowledge and the definitive path to liberation. So, with a hint of polite skepticism, Janasana asked his friend, "How do you truly judge him, Pilatika? Is this Gautama as wise as they say?" Does he truly possess this ultimate wisdom that people speak of? Pilatika, a wanderer known for his independent thought and a discerning mind, was silent for a moment, reflecting on the depth of his experience. Then, with profound humility, he answered, "I am not nearly as wise as him, Janissenen, to justly judge of his immense wisdom. His insight is beyond my comprehension. This is high praise coming from you." Pilatika, Janissenen exclaimed, genuinely surprised by his friend's unusual reverence. And his friend replied, with even greater humility, "Who am I to praise Gautama? He is praised by those we praise as the best of beings. Human and divine, the most learned, the most virtuous. He is praised by those who truly know." This deeply piqued Janissonen's interest immensely. Perhaps it also pricked his intellectual pride a little too, that someone he knew was so utterly convinced. "Come now," Jannissonen pressed, his curiosity now fully ignited. "How can you be that certain of the man's wisdom, of his awakening? What undeniable proof have you seen?" Pilatika was silent for another moment, formulating his profound analogy. Then he said, "Suppose an elephant hunter were to enter the dense forest and were to see there a single, remarkably large elephant footprint. By this alone, he would know that a great bull elephant, a truly magnificent beast, lives in that forest, a sign of its presence." Pilatika then drew the direct spiritual parallel. "In the same way, I saw not one, but 4 profound footprints in the teacher Gautama, undeniable signs of his enlightenment. Thus, through these signs, I came to truly understand that he is truly self-awakened, that he teaches the true path correctly, and that his disciples practice rightly, truly walking the path." Pilatika then elaborated on these 4 metaphorical footprints. "These undeniable signs of the Buddha's profound wisdom and transformative power. I saw great intellectuals, skilled in debate, like hair-splitting marksmen who seek and destroy philosophical positions for sport, prideful in their intellectual prowess. When they learn the teacher Gautama is visiting a village or a town, they make ready to attack his teaching. Confident in their intellectual superiority, they meticulously prepare their questions and anticipate his answers, preparing counter-arguments on every single point. They go to him then, full of intellectual pride, and he simply gives them a talk on the Dhamma, the universal truth. When he is done speaking, they don't even ask him their questions, for their doubts have dissolved, their intellectual pride shattered, their minds transformed. As it turns out, they become his devoted disciples, their understanding revolutionized." Pilatika emphasized the pervasive impact of the Dhamma's truth. "I saw such intellectuals from the warrior caste, from the priest caste, my own, from the householder caste, and even from among the contemplative ascetics. In all 4 cases, the wisest among the wise, the most skilled debaters, were rendered utterly speechless, their arguments dissolved by the power of truth. They renounced their homes and families and followed Gautama, abandoning their former lives for the liberating path of Dhamma. These are the 4 profound footprints I saw that convinced me of his ultimate wisdom." Janissenen was rather intrigued by this tale. Perhaps he felt somewhat challenged too, his intellectual pride pricked by the notion of other intellectuals being rendered speechless. After all, he himself was a man of learning, confident in his own philosophical acumen. Could this Gautama really be so smart and wise, so profoundly insightful as to silence even the greatest debaters? Janissenen thanked his friend and, his curiosity now fully ignited, decided he must visit the teacher himself, seeking the source of this profound wisdom. Buddhist insight. This opening segment vividly portrays the initial encounter with the Dhamma. Janissonen's skepticism reflects avidya, ignorance, and the common human tendency to judge truth based on external reputation or intellectual debate. Pilatika's elephant footprint simile is a masterful upaya, skillful means, an analogy to convey the undeniable, yet indirect, evidence of the Buddha's enlightenment. The 4 footprints Pilatika describes, intellectuals of various castes being silenced and becoming disciples, highlight the universal appeal of the Dhamma to all types of seekers and the transformative power of the Buddha's teaching, even over hardened intellectuals. This sets up Janissonen's personal quest for right view, Samaditi. Chapter 2. The incomplete footprint, going beyond superficial understanding. We pick up some time later, when Janissenen, compelled by his curiosity, has made his way to the Buddha. He approaches the famous teacher with deep respect, initiating the interaction with customary courtesies. "Many blessings upon you," Jansanen said, bowing low to the teacher. Acknowledging his revered status, the two men exchanged greetings and courtesies, all according to established etiquette. Then Jansanen sat respectfully by Gautama. Eager to understand, he recounted to the teacher, with meticulous detail, his conversation with Pilatika, faithfully recounting each word, the simile of the elephant footprint, and Pilatika's profound praise. When he finished, he fell silent. Having delivered his message, he couldn't even remember whether he had a specific question he wished to ask. So absorbed was he in the retelling and the Buddha's serene presence. In a few moments of contemplative silence, it was Gautama who spoke, his wisdom flowing effortlessly. The teacher said, his voice calm and direct, Pilatika's simile of the elephant footprint, while insightful and well observed, is incomplete. It offers a glimpse, a strong clue, but not the full, undeniable picture. I will complete it for you. Jansanen, listen closely, for this is the path to true certainty, to ultimate realization. Jansanen was taken aback. He had expected some immediate reaction from Gautama regarding Pilatika's praise, perhaps some modest humility, or even a subtle hint of pride. Anything, but not this immediate, detached readiness to simply teach, to complete the simile without acknowledging the praise. This profound egolessness and single-minded focus on the Dhamma was truly unexpected. Deeply impressive. The Buddha then began to elaborate, deepening the metaphor with precision. If an elephant hunter enters a forest, he might indeed see a single large elephant footprint. But if he is a skilled hunter, a truly discerning and experienced tracker, he will not immediately conclude that a large bull elephant lives in the forest based on just one footprint. A truly skilled hunter would know that there are small elephant females that sometimes have exceedingly large feet. The single large footprint could, therefore, be one of theirs, a trick of appearance. So, Gautama continued, the skilled hunter, seeking more definitive evidence, follows that initial footprint deeper into the forest, searching for more clues. There, he might find 3 more footprints, and clear scratch marks on the trees, and visible tusk slashes, and some broken off branches, further signs of a large elephant's passage. Still, even with these additional signs, he will not definitively conclude that there is a bull elephant in the forest. A smaller elephant, perhaps a young male, or even another large animal, could have left those signs. But, the Buddha concluded, bringing the simile to its ultimate point of certainty and direct proof. If the hunter courageously continues following the tracks, meticulously searching for undeniable proof, he might eventually arrive at the actual bull elephant, seeing it standing majestically at the foot of a tree or grazing calmly in an open clearing. Only then, when he directly perceives the elephant itself, when he experiences its undeniable presence, does he definitively conclude there is indeed a bull elephant. Commentary. Let's pause again. How has the Buddha improved Pilatika's simile? Well, we see in Pilatika a somewhat superficial form of spirituality. He's impressed by the effects of the Dhamma on others, by the initial, compelling signs, but he hasn't personally verified the ultimate truth himself. You know, the kind of spirituality where one hears or reads something compelling and decides immediately it is the ultimate truth, embracing it without deeper, personal inquiry. Lesser teachers often welcome such easy converts, valuing outward adherence and quick declarations of faith. The Buddha, however, would have none of that. His extended, refined simile tells us that we shouldn't be satisfied with mere outer appearances, with second-hand testimony, or with initial impressive signs. A single footprint, or even a few more, is not enough to conclude the ultimate truth. We should, like the skilled hunter, actually enter the forest ourselves, follow the tracks diligently, and make sure we see the truth with our own eyes. Through our own direct, unwavering experience, we should settle for nothing less than the actual elephant, the ultimate realization of the Dhamma. This sets the stage for the noble Eightfold Path, which is the precise, experiential methodology for this direct seeing, this ultimate verification. Buddhist insight. The Buddha's refinement of the simile is crucial. It highlights the distinction between indirect knowledge, hearsay, intellectual understanding, and direct, experiential insight, prajna. Pilatika represents intellectual conviction based on observing effects, which is a good start but not sufficient for liberation. The Buddha teaches that genuine understanding requires deeper inquiry and personal verification, leading to right view, Samadhi, based on direct experience, not just conceptual agreement. This establishes the need for a systematic path, the Eightfold Path, to move beyond superficial understanding to ultimate realization. His non-reaction to praise demonstrates his anatta, non-self, and focus purely on the Dhamma. Chapter 3. The Noble Eightfold Path, the Journey Inward to Liberation. And here we arrive at the Noble Eightfold Path, the very blueprint for ultimate liberation. We will now hear the Buddha describe the full journey of the early Buddhist disciple. A detailed, step-by-step guide to transforming the mind and achieving nirvana. But I have to warn you, it is easy to get discouraged when you hear what profound dedication the Buddha expects of us. It is one thing to meditate for letting off steam or temporary calm. It is a whole different game to leave your family and friends in search of ultimate awakening. To commit your entire life to this transformative quest. The path to nirvana can sometimes sound so demanding as to be totally out of reach for the ordinary individual. But imagine Garry Kasparov comes to teach you chess, or Arnold Schwarzenegger comes to teach you weightlifting. You wouldn't immediately get discouraged by their mastery. You wouldn't compare yourself to the master and feel inadequate. Instead, you would try to learn a thing or two, perhaps a fundamental principle, that will serve your own gradual improvement. This is a good way to approach the Buddha's teachings too. As Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi wisely says, there are only two things you must do on the path. You must start, and you must continue. Even the smallest, most imperfect step is a step in the right direction, a step towards awakening. With this in mind, let's now hear the Buddha describe the path to Jnanasanan, detailing the stages of the seeker's profound journey. A self-awakened teacher appears in the world. Gautama continued, referring to himself as a Buddha. He teaches the Dhamma in detail and in essence, revealing the universal truths of existence and the path to liberation. Wisdom section, Prajna, right view plus right intention. A householder, upon hearing the Dhamma, reflects deeply on his own life. He sees how difficult it is to live at home a holy life. A life of purity, perfect as a polished shell. Given the demands of worldly existence, he understands the inherent dukkha of conditioned existence and the limitations of worldly attachments. After much deliberation and deep insight, he decides to abandon his wealth, be it great or small. He leaves his relatives and friends, shaves his head, puts on the yellow robe, and enters a life of homelessness, embracing renunciation, nekkhamma. Commentary. No wonder the early schools of Buddhism came to be called Hinayana, or the small vehicle, though this term is often used disparagingly by Mahayana schools. The original Buddhist path was not for the many, but for the few, for a spiritual elite, an aristocracy even. In terms of dedication, notice how often the adjective noble is used for the doctrines. Like the Four Noble Truths, which you can learn about in a previous video on our channel. In any case, our path begins with right view, samadhi, and right intention, samma sankappa. The wisdom section of the path. The seeker receives this initial wisdom upon his or her profound encounter with the Dhamma. This sets the primary compass. The wheel of transformation has been turned, and no matter how long it takes, the seeker is now on an undeniable trajectory to nirvana, set forth by understanding and clear intention. The Buddha continues with the following stages of the path, detailing the practical steps. Ethics section, Sila, right speech plus right action plus right livelihood. Once the seeker becomes trained in the life of a monk, embracing the monastic discipline, he begins to cultivate virtue. His outward conduct meticulously reflecting his inner transformation. He abandons the taking of life, ahimsa, non-harming, and cultivates boundless compassion, karuna, for all living beings, extending it even to the smallest creature. He abandons the taking of what is not freely given, non-stealing, respecting the property of others. He abandons sex, which is considered a commoner's practice for lay life, not monastic celibacy, cultivating purity. He abandons speech that is false, divisive, abusive, or idle, right speech. On the contrary, he meticulously cultivates speech that is true, that brings harmony, that heals those who hear it, and that concerns only what is truly important and beneficial. Avoiding unnecessary chatter, he abstains from violence, even to plant life, a deeper level of ahimsa. He eats only once per day, practicing moderation and non-attachment to food. He avoids all entertainment, freeing himself from sensory distractions and external stimulation. He abstains from beautifying himself with jewelry, perfumes, and the like, cultivating simplicity and non-vanity. He avoids unnecessary comfort, embracing a life of mindful austerity. He accepts no money, detaching himself from material wealth and its associated worries. He is content with a simple set of robes to provide for his body and humble alms food to provide for his hunger. A bird, wherever it goes, flies with its wings as its only burden. So too, wherever he goes, the seeker takes only his barest necessities along, unburdened by possessions. Commentary. Suffice it to say, the Noble Path does not start easy. It is a life of significant abstinence and privation, a radical departure from worldly norms and deeply ingrained habits. Still, I think it is a happy life. Today we have more wealth, luxury, and comfort than ever before in human history. Yet, paradoxically, at the same time, stress, depression, and suicide are tragically at a peak. Today's researchers keep discovering the benefits of healthy discomfort, of cold plunges, intermittent fasting, and minimalism. The Buddha, of course, spoke about this over 2 millennia ago. Intuitively understanding the human mind's complex relationship with excess and scarcity. There's another important point here. The renunciation taught by the Buddha is not based on suppression or forceful denial. In many other traditions, asceticism is meant to strengthen the will through inner conflict with one's natural impulses. We can see this most clearly where the ascetic would literally mutilate his body in order to overcome it. Whatever that means, this is something the Buddha himself tried before his enlightenment. Pushing his body to the brink, he discovered it does not lead to awakening and liberation. In fact, he said trying to overcome the body is the easiest way to become utterly obsessed by it, trapped in a new form of craving. Instead, Buddhist renunciation is based on mindfulness, understanding, and transformation. The end goal is not to become stronger than your instincts and desires by fighting them. It is to understand them, to see their true nature and their consequences, to separate what truly causes suffering from what alleviates suffering. After that, it is just a matter of skillfully navigating towards thoughts, words, and actions that naturally lead to the cessation of suffering. Anyway, the Buddha has now described right speech, right action, and right livelihood. This is the ethics, sila, section of the path. It ensures a harmonious life in the world and among others. But the real purpose of these precepts is profoundly psychological and inward-looking. The simple, ethical life is in fact a powerful form of mental preparation. First, you cultivate discipline and mindfulness in the world outside, in your actions and interactions. Next, you apply these to your body and your sensory experience, refining your awareness. After that, you sink even deeper and practice discipline and mindfulness of your mental states, observing their subtle dance. Finally, you go beyond the mental and enter the most subtle dimensions of experience. Pure awareness. If we remember the elephant hunter going deeper into the forest, following the tracks, we will see how accurately it describes the path. Each stage meticulously prepares the seeker for the following one. Each takes him deeper into himself, revealing new layers of reality and liberation. Let's return to the story now where the Buddha will describe the next stages of the Eightfold Path. Buddhist insight. This comprehensive chapter details the wisdom, prajna, and ethics, sila, sections of the Noble Eightfold Path. Right view and right intention. The decision to renounce is driven by understanding dukkha and the desire for liberation, nekkhamma. Renunciation in monastic life. The monastic life is described as demanding, emphasizing dana, generosity in giving up, ahimsa, non-harming, and moderation. Critique of suppression. The Buddha's own experience refutes asceticism based on fighting the body, emphasizing mindfulness and understanding over brutal control. Sila as preparation. Ethical conduct is presented not as an end, but as a psychological preparation for deeper meditative states. Ensuring external harmony supports internal peace. The bird with wings simile highlights non-attachment to possessions. Chapter 4. the path's inward turn, mental discipline and deep absorption. Gautama continued, describing the final, most profound stages of the Eightfold Path, where the journey turns distinctly inward, leading to deep meditative states and ultimate insight. Mental discipline section, samadhi, right effort plus right mindfulness plus right concentration. The seeker cultivates restraint of the senses. Upon seeing a form, or smelling a smell, or hearing a sound, or tasting a flavor, or sensing by touch, or thinking a thought, he never grasps at the experience. He develops no interest in the experience that might lead to attachment, upadana. He simply observes each sensory input and mental phenomenon as it arises and passes. He notices that whenever he is unmindful of his senses, desire, tanha, arises. A relentless craving to either possess or avoid the experience. After desire, discomfort and suffering follow. Therefore, the seeker meticulously cultivates mindfulness, sati, his awareness sharpened and pervasive, extending to every moment of his being. He is aware always of his posture and the subtle movements of his body. At all times, whether eating or defecating, working or resting, he is utterly mindful, his attention fully present, whether he speaks or is silent, awakes or falls asleep, whether standing or sitting, he is always present and profoundly aware of his inner and outer experience. Having perfected his livelihood, speech, and actions in the external world, having cultivated profound restraint of the senses and pervasive mindfulness, the seeker finds a secluded, quiet spot, a place conducive to deeper meditation. After his meals, he retreats to that peaceful place. He sits down, crosses his legs in the lotus position, holds his body erect, and devotes himself fully to mindfulness, his attention now turning inward. Like a laser, he then courageously encounters the 5 hindrances, powerful mental defilements that obscure the mind's clarity and prevent deep concentration, and diligently overcomes them one by one. Through sustained effort, he is attacked by desire, kamachanda, for sensual pleasure, but he lets go of it. Recognizing its fleeting and ultimately unsatisfying nature, he is attacked by anger and ill will, vyapada, towards others or situations, but he overcomes them through cultivating boundless compassion, metta, and forgiveness. He is laid down by drowsiness and sloth, thina mitta, a heavy mental inertia, but he cuts through it with energy, alertness, and persistent virya, right effort. Anxiety and restlessness, uddhacca kukuka, appear. A constant mental agitation, but he stills his mind, grounding himself in the present moment. Releasing tension, doubt and uncertainty, visakiccha, cloud his judgment about the path or his own abilities, but he abandons them, trusting in the Dhamma and his direct experience. Finally, with his mind thus purified, utterly ready, and free from these obscurations, he enters the first jhana, the first deep meditative absorption, a profound state of delight arising from withdrawal from unwholesome states, accompanied by initial directed thought and evaluation, but a deep sense of peace. Commentary. Let's pause again. In another sutta, the Buddha compares the untrained mind to a fish out of water, flapping about wildly on the ground, desperate and uncomfortable. We, too, ceaselessly chase after thoughts, sensations, and emotions, flitting from one to another, as if the next one will finally bring us what we desire or alleviate our discomfort. Such a mind, constantly agitated and restless, lacks the mindfulness and concentration needed for true insight. But if we discipline our mind, if we cultivate mindfulness and overcome the 5 hindrances, then what? Well, then we are ready for the last and most advanced stages of the path. We arrive at Buddhist meditation proper, the profound stages of samadhi, right concentration. The 4 jhanas, realms of deep absorption. Here, describing the path gets exceedingly difficult. It gets difficult because the Buddha describes altered states of awareness, profound levels of consciousness accessible only to seasoned meditators who have meticulously purified their minds. The first of these are the 4 jhanas, or dhyanas. Since most of us have no direct experience with these incredibly subtle and profound states, it is easy to either dismiss them as mystical or adopt a completely wrong conceptual view of them. To avoid this error, I will quote the Buddha without attempting to interpret them beyond his own profound words, inviting you to contemplate their meaning. The seeker enters and remains in the first jhana. he experiences the delight of withdrawal from unwholesome states, accompanied by directed thought and evaluation. This is like a very large elephant footprint, a powerful sign, but still, it is too early to definitively conclude there is a bull elephant in the forest. Then, as directed thoughts and evaluations gradually subside, the seeker enters and remains in the second jhana. He experiences the delight of composure and profound one-pointed awareness, a deep inner unification. There is no longer directed thought and evaluation. This too is a very large footprint, a deeper indication, but still, no bull elephant. With the fading of delight, the seeker enters and remains in the third jhana. He is at peace, profoundly mindful, and alert, and senses a subtle pleasure with the body. This is the third elephant footprint, a more refined sign of the elephant's passage. Finally, with the complete abandoning of both pleasure and pain, the seeker enters and remains in the fourth jhana. He experiences pure peace and boundless mindfulness, without either pleasure or pain, a state of perfect equanimity, upekkha. This is the fourth elephant footprint, the deepest sign yet of the elephant's presence. Even now, Gautama cautions, his wisdom underscoring the need for ultimate clarity. The experienced hunter does not definitively conclude there is a bull elephant in the forest based solely on these footprints. However large or deep, he does not yet conclude that Gautama is truly self-awakened and teaches the true path correctly, and that his disciples practice rightly. The journey demands ultimate, undeniable, direct proof. Commentary. Notice how the Buddha continuously warns us not to grasp at sublime states of consciousness. This is a crucial point for any spiritual practitioner. That experience might be a beautiful, profound step along the path, but do not confuse it with the ultimate destination. Do not cling to it as an end in itself. Buddhist insight. This chapter details the mental discipline, samadhi, section of the Noble Eightfold Path. Right effort, samma vayama, cultivating restraint of senses and overcoming the 5 hindrances, desire, ill will, sloth, torpor, restlessness, remorse, doubt. Right mindfulness, samma sati, constant awareness of body, senses, and mental states. Right concentration, samma samadhi, achieving the jhanas, states of deep meditative absorption. The continued warning not to conclude the bull elephant, even after achieving jhanas, emphasizes that these are powerful meditative states but not yet ultimate prajna, wisdom, or liberation. Clinging to them would be a subtle form of tanha. This reinforces the need for the final section of the path. Chapter 5. The path's completion, wisdom, liberation, and the bull elephant revealed. So, if all elements are present, if the seeker has diligently walked through the wisdom, ethics, and mental discipline sections, why does the Buddha say the seeker has still not discovered the bull elephant? Well, because the path is not a simple linear progression, it is a circle. Like any profound circle, it is truly complete only when the end gracefully meets the beginning, creating a unified, perfect whole. After passing all these stages of ethical conduct and mental purification, the seeker returns to the wisdom, prajna, section. But this time, he does not receive wisdom secondhand. Through listening or conceptual understanding, he experiences the Dhamma himself, directly, intimately, fundamentally. This culmination is known as the 3 higher knowledges, or 3 insights. These are profound experiences of direct insight, accessible only to a mind that has been meticulously trained and purified to perfection. Transcending ordinary conceptual perception, it is incredibly difficult for the ordinary mind to make sense of these experiences. They lie beyond conceptual language and conventional understanding. It is much easier to simply label them as supernatural phenomena or dismiss them as mere hallucinations. But I think we should refrain from hasty judgment. The truth is, we are unqualified to draw any definitive conclusions about the higher knowledges without having experienced them ourselves. To do so would be like a young child thinking she fully knows what being an adult is like. Without having walked the path leading to these profound knowledges, it is best to remain critically open-minded, acknowledging the limits of our current understanding. In any case, this final section of the path culminates in direct, experiential insight into the 4 noble truths, not just understanding them intellectually, but seeing them as lived reality, as fundamental truths of one's own existence. Remember, the last of these truths is the Noble Eightfold Path itself. So, The truths contain the path, and the path, when fully practiced, contains the truths. Together, they complete the profound wheel of the Dhamma, where practice must be wise, and wisdom must be practiced, in a continuous, synergistic cycle. Now we will end with the Buddha, as he describes the ultimate completion of the path to Janasanan, finally revealing the bull elephant, the three higher knowledges. With his mind thus concentrated, purified, and brightly luminous, the seeker directs it to the recollection of past lives. He remembers 1 birth, 2 births, 3 births, up to 100,000 births, recalling myriad details of his countless previous existences. He realizes, there I had such a name and such an appearance. Such was my experience, and such the end of my life. Passing away from that state, I re-arose in another. In this way, he recollects his many past lives in intricate detail, understanding the vastness of samsara. With this profound insight, his divine eye, a faculty of higher perception, opens. He sees beings passing away and reappearing in various realms of existence. And he discerns precisely how they are inferior and superior, beautiful and ugly, fortunate and unfortunate, all in precise accordance with their karma, actions and their consequences. He sees how beings with wrong view and wrong action get reborn in planes of deprivation, hell realms, animal realms. He sees how beings with right view and right action get reborn in heavenly worlds or human realms with favorable conditions. He sees this entire vast cycle of samsara and the intricate, unwavering law of karma that rules it all, understanding its impersonal nature. Finally, the seeker discerns through direct, unmediated experience the 4 noble truths. He comprehends dukkha, dissatisfaction, and he comprehends samudaya, the way leading to dissatisfaction, craving. He comprehends nirvana, cessation of suffering, and he comprehends magga, the way leading to nirvana, the Eightfold Path. His understanding is no longer conceptual but fully realized, experientially known in his own being. All these profound insights, the recollection of past lives, the divine eye, the direct discernment of the 4 noble truths, are also like large elephant footprints. They are incredibly powerful, unmistakable signs. Still, Gautama cautions once more, reinforcing the absolute need for the ultimate, final realization. The seeker does not definitively conclude there is a bull elephant in the forest. He does not yet conclude that Gautama is truly self-awakened and teaches the true path correctly, and that his disciples practice rightly. The journey demands ultimate, undeniable, direct proof, beyond even these sublime experiences. But then, the Buddha concluded, his voice resonating with ultimate triumph and liberation. His heart and mind, having gained this profound wisdom through these experiences, become utterly free from craving, tanha, free from becoming, bhava, and free from ignorance, avidya. With this complete and absolute freedom, he realizes, with certainty, birth is ended, the holy life is fulfilled, the task is done, nothing remains for this world. This, Janasanan, the Buddha declared, his gaze luminous with perfect understanding, is the large bull elephant. Only now, with this ultimate realization, does the seeker truly understand that Gautama is truly self-awakened, that he teaches the true path correctly, and that his disciples practice rightly, embodying the very truth. There was profound silence when the teacher stopped speaking. Janasanan too was utterly silent, his mind reeling from the magnitude of the revelation, his previous skepticism utterly dissolved. Only the gentle burble of a nearby stream could be heard, a natural symphony reflecting the newfound stillness. Whatever the Brahmin felt at that moment, it was a transformation so profound, so complete, he would never forget it. He bowed low before the teacher, his heart filled with unwavering saddha, faith, and immense gratitude. "Blessed One," he said, "please remember me as one who has come to you for refuge. From now on, until the rest of my life, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha." Buddhist insight. This final chapter details the 3 higher knowledges that constitute the culmination of the Noble Eightfold Path, where prajna, wisdom, is fully realized, recollection of past lives, direct insight into samsara and the continuity of consciousness, leading to a deeper understanding of anicca and dukkha, divine eye, seeing the ripening of karma across lifetimes and realms, providing ultimate right view, Direct discerning of the Four Noble Truths. Experiential realization. Not just intellectual understanding of suffering. Its cause, tanha. Its cessation, nirodha. And the path. The Buddha's final warning not to conclude the bull elephant until complete liberation, freedom from craving, becoming, and ignorance, emphasizes that true enlightenment is beyond even sublime experiences. The large bull elephant is the ultimate state of nirvana. A mind utterly free from all defilements. Janisonian's taking refuge signifies his complete conversion and commitment to the Dhamma, having personally verified its truth. Conclusion. Walking the Elephant's Path, your personal journey to awakening. The profound narrative of the shorter elephant footprint simile sutta is far more than an ancient text. It is a living, breathing guide to understanding and walking the Buddha's path to nirvana. It challenges us to move beyond superficial understanding, to seek direct insight, and to commit diligently to the transformation of our own minds. Key learnings for your personal Buddha story. Seek direct experience, not just hearsay. Don't settle for second-hand knowledge or easy answers. Like the skilled elephant hunter, delve deep into your own experience to truly verify the Dhamma. Application. Engage in meditation and mindfulness practice. Test the Buddha's teachings in your own life to see their effects directly. True wisdom comes from seeing for yourself. The Noble Eightfold Path is a comprehensive blueprint. It's a detailed, systematic guide encompassing wisdom, ethics, and mental discipline, leading to ultimate liberation. It's not vague advice, but precise instructions for inner transformation. Application. Understand each step of the Eightfold Path. Begin cultivating one habit from each section, e.g. mindful speech, daily meditation, compassionate thought, to start your journey. Remember, starting is key, and consistency builds strength. The path requires diligence and perseverance, virya. The journey is long and demands unwavering effort, disciplined practice, and immense patience. It is a continuous process of purification and insight. Application. Commit to consistent practice. Even when it's difficult, remember that spiritual growth is a marathon, not a sprint. Every effort accumulates merit and wisdom, propelling you forward. Enlightenment is liberation from craving and ignorance, tanha and avidya. The ultimate goal is not a heaven, but a state of mind utterly free from suffering by extinguishing desires, the craving for becoming, and fundamental delusion. Application. Observe your cravings and attachments. Practice non-clinging. Cultivate prajna, wisdom, to see reality clearly. Dismantling avidya, and thus finding true inner freedom. Wisdom is humility and openness. The Buddha's refusal to accept praise and his consistent warning not to cling to sublime states emphasize humility and non-attachment even to spiritual experiences. Application. Remain open-minded and humble on your spiritual journey. Don't be swayed by ego or spiritual pride. Recognize that genuine wisdom knows what it doesn't know, and is always receptive to new understanding. The Dhamma is a path to self-transformation. The Buddha only points the way. You yourself must walk it. Your liberation is in your own hands, cultivated through your own dedicated practice and direct experience. Application. Take full responsibility for your spiritual development. Don't rely solely on external teachers or doctrines. Your disciplined practice is your ultimate guide, leading you to your own awakening. The Buddha's profound wisdom, beautifully illuminated by this rigorous yet inspiring sutta, invites us to embark on our own profound journey, to enter the forest of our own minds, to diligently follow the footprints of the Dhamma, and to ultimately reveal the majestic, undeniable, bull elephant of enlightenment within ourselves. This is the essence of your authentic Buddha story. Thank you for watching, and may you always carry the profound peace and illuminating wisdom of these stories within your heart. Join our growing community by liking this video and subscribing to Buddha Story, where ancient wisdom beautifully meets modern mindfulness. Which aspect of the Noble Eightfold Path will you choose to explore more diligently in your own life this week? Share your reflections and experiences in the comments below. Until our next encounter, may your path be filled with profound peace, deep understanding, and the radiant light of your own awakening.